Shanti, let us begin our session for today. So come up on your mat, sit comfortably. Keep your back and neck straight. And once you feel ready, very gently close your eyes. And now just start observing the natural flow of your breath. Become aware of each inhalation and each exhalation. Now slowly shift your attention to your body. Become aware of the posture. Keep your back and neck straight. Align your body. Now gently come back to breathing. Begin to deepen each and every breath that you take. So we'll go for slow, long and deep inhalations. Slow, long and deep exhalations. We are going to open today's session by chanting Om one time, sorry, 3 times, followed by 3 Shantis. So take a deep breath in for Om. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Feel the vibration. Join the palms together and now begin to rub your palms. Place your palms on your eyes. Very slowly while blinking and looking at the palms, open up your eyes. Come back to a smile. Let us begin our session for today. So today we are going to, talk about and discuss a very new and interesting topic in yoga philosophy. So far you have understood what yoga is, you have understood the meaning, history, development, you have gone through so many topics like the lifestyle, right? And from today, we are going to start a series of topics which are actually going to give you the way to approach yoga depending on your personality. Okay, so there are 4 major schools of yoga. Like when I was teaching you Bhagavad Gita, I told you that the 4 major schools of yoga they are substantially and very concretely mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, right? And today we are going to talk about the first and very famous school of yoga, which is called karmayoga or path of action, right? So karma is K-A-R-M-A, yoga, Y-O-G-A, karma yoga. So before I begin with this topic, let me briefly introduce the schools of yoga, right? So all of you are unique, right? I am unique, you are unique. So because we are so unique, we have different tastes, we have different interests. There are certain, there is a certain thing that resonates with us, and there are other things which don't resonate with us, right? And yoga, even though the path is like taking you towards a very like common goal, right? There is only one final goal, right? But there are different ways in which you can achieve this goal depending on your personality, what you like, what you don't like, what your set belief system is, set of beliefs are. Okay, and schools of yoga are actually talking about this. Now, the four major schools of yoga, so they most likely out of one of these four you will resonate with, right? So these became very famous, these gained a lot of highlight or caught a lot of eyes, right? So we are also going to this class and upcoming classes we are going to talk about the four major schools. So first one is karmyog, the um, path of action, right? So as soon as one begins to practice yoga somewhere, there is this common notion by the society, right? If you have started practicing yoga, now you will leave the world behind, you will go into seclusion, right? And that is not the case always. You will find so many people, practicing yoga, imbibing it in their day-to-day life, right? How they are doing the things, right? So it's not necessary that you leave the world behind. Okay? It's a very high stage when the yogi goes into isolation. But before that, you can very well practice the techniques of yoga while fulfilling your responsibilities, right? So you have been born most likely in a household which is, uh, through work you are earning your daily bread. Yes, and most likely you might even have your own family, right? People who are dependent upon you. You have to support those people, right? So it isn't practical for you to, leave the world behind just because you want to practice yoga. You can very well stay in society, just change how you are conducting each and every action, and you can reach till the final goal, right? So let's talk a little bit about karma yoga. Karma literally means action. Okay, so work or action, right? So whenever you do some action on a very surface level, you can take it in this way that whenever you do some action, it is going to, either make your life better or it's going to make your life worse, right? Isn't it true? When I go out and when I eat something, right? So either the thing that I eat, it will be good for me or it will be bad for me, right? So in that same way, the action which is enhancing your life, enhancing the quality of your life, you should move more towards it, right? And the action which is not enhancing the quality of your life, which is degrading the quality of your life, you should move away from it, right? And the easiest way to move away from it is to do more actions which are in your favor, right? Rather than focusing all of your energy on not doing that thing which is harmful, you can focus your energy towards doing something which is, beneficial for you. The best way to break a bad habit is to create a new and good one, right? So you don't have to struggle, you don't have to fight, you just have to merely shift your focus, right? And Karma talks about this deeply by explaining more things that you can inculcate in yourself when you are doing a particular action. Okay, so on the surface level, Karma is talking about the actions that you are doing. But actually, if you look very deeply or closely, you will see action is taking place at three levels, right? One level is the action is taking place. One level is the physical work that I'm doing. Okay. Then second level of action is what I'm saying. right? And third and most deepest level of action is what I'm thinking. All right. So even though I've told these to you in the reverse order, you can make sense out of it still, right? So whatever I'm doing, I'm maybe talking about that thing only, and then because I'm doing that, I'm thinking about it also. Like when you go to work or when you go to school. So when you're going to school, college, you are studying that thing, maybe you're making notes, then you have discussions with your friends about that thing, and then whatever discussions you've had, you end up thinking about it. But actually, the first action is believed to be thought on, right? If nobody had the idea of a smartphone, right? So we would not have been connected, or nobody had the idea of an app like Zoom. So we would not have been connected at all, right? Because somebody had this idea that such a platform can exist, that converted itself into various discussions. And once the various discussions took place, the practicality was assessed. Then it came into action where the app was developed, and then it was tested. It was all other checks were done, right? So Karmyo believes that the deepest level of purification will take place when the thought will also be purified, right? So whenever we think, so most of the times you will say, how will we practice karma, right? Sometimes we are just sitting, we are not doing anything, we are not speaking anything, right? So how is the karma taking place? The karma is taking place in the form of thoughts, right? So yogi will always focus on the thoughts more, right? Because if the thought is cleansed, if the thought is not coming out of an impurity, right, then the speech and action will automatically be controlled. If you believe, vice versa also it will work, right? If you begin to, suppose you decided to watch this class, right? So you change your action. Now once the action changes, then you will maybe talk to someone about the class, maybe something you agreed with, something you disagreed with, right? Or it might just end up coming in the way in which you are talking only, right? And then slowly that will begin to shift your thought pattern, right? So you can go about it anyway, but you need to understand that finally we are doing the deepest level of cleansing. The thought is also an action, right? And most of the times, physical action or speech, maybe you are able to control, but thought, it's still going on, right? So suppose I want to hurt someone, I can think of hurting them, right? But I might not act on it, or I might not speak of it, right? But internally, the reaction is going on. So even though physically it's not showing up, the irritation, the suffering, the conflict, it's taking place inside me only, because again and again, when I think of that person, think of harming that person, that thought, amplifies, right? When the thought amplifies to a certain level, after that it comes down on your speech. Okay. Then you might abuse someone, then you might dismiss someone, shout at someone. And if that thought again it amplifies even more, then you might just go ahead and slap someone or hit someone, right? So once you begin to understand how all of them are connected, in the subtlest form in which action is showing up is the thought, right? You begin to put your work towards that. And that is the concept of karma. The karma yogi doesn't have to believe in something extraordinary existing, or the karma yogi doesn't have to, go into too much intellectualization or too much introspection. The karma yogi is directly able to see that some action is taking place. Either this action can make my life better, or it can make my life worse, right? So they consciously change their action so that their life at least begins to become a little bit better, right? After the life becomes better, it's only then that I will also stop, or I will get bored from it. So I would want to be free from it altogether, right? So right now most of us are ill, we are rogis, right? Then we will become bhogis, where we will be fit, we will enjoy whatever we have in life. And then yogi stage is again very far off ahead, right? Where now even the best of the things in life, you don't find any attraction towards them, because you recognize, or there's a very deep realization that what you are looking for, you will not get out of this, because desires are like a bottomless bucket, right? You can fulfill a desire, you can, like suppose you can want to collect something in a baseless bucket, right? But you will never be able to collect that thing. Why? Because as soon as you want to put something in it, because it has no base, that thing will just fall away, right? So are your desires. But at least in the beginning, what you can do is work towards fulfilling them or work towards enjoying them more deeply, right? Once you enjoy something deeply, then slowly, your attachment also goes away from, right? So Bhagavad Gita has also talked about the concept of karma. And in Bhagavad Gita, if you go to the third chapter, Lord Krishna, he is explaining to Arjun why it is important for him to fight the battle. Right? Arjun was standing in the war as a warrior, right? And it was his duty when he was standing in that space to fulfill his responsibility as a warrior and fight the war, right? So at this point of time, Krishna says this thing that it is not up to us or it's not up to the human being to be free from the action itself, right? It is foolishness if you want to be free of action. So many people come and they are just like, oh, we have started practicing yoga. Let us leave our responsibilities behind, right? It's a headache to fulfill your responsibilities, isn't it? Right? When I have to pay the bills, when I have to take care of everything, right? I have responsibility, I have family. It's so much headache. So what a lot of people do, they come into spirituality because it becomes an indirect reason for them to escape responsibilities. And I'm not saying this merely because I've observed it. I have been one of those people, so I don't mean to offend anybody when I'm saying this. That I myself tried to at one point escape my responsibilities, right? So it's not out of a sense of that I don't know about. I have been through that experience, and then I came back, right? Because my responsibilities, I have to fulfill those, right? So the Karma Yoga, this is a very big misconception, right? That a person practicing yoga, they will leave everything behind. They will fulfill their responsibilities. They will, find yoga in whatever they do, each and every day, whatever they do, right? They will find yoga in that, right? So Karma Yogi in third chapter, Lord Krishna, he says that it is not up to us to decide if we want to do the action or not. But what we can decide, right? What we can forfeit is the, attachment that we generate to the result of that action, right? So think back, right? Whenever you applied for some important college application or maybe some job, right? Till the time you did whatever was in your control, right? From that point, when you have done it, suppose you have given the interview, from that point onwards till the time the result for that job or that college is out, right? You are constantly stressed, right? Is the result in my control anymore? No. And it wasn't before also, but I did whatever I could do. I gave in my best, right? But getting attached to the result is what causes us stress and anxiety, right? Because I want to get in so badly, because I want to, have that job so badly, it ends up giving me stress until the result is announced, right? So in order to suspend this kind of stress, this kind of anxiety, Lord Krishna, he says that being a human being, you don't have the choice if you want to do something or if you don't want to do something, right? You have to do something. If you are choosing not to do something, you are doing something else. So you are doing at all times. But what you can choose to leave behind is the expectation, right? The result, the attachment to the result, right? And this in Bhagavad Gita, he gave a very specific term to this thing, and he said that this is called Nishkam Karma. Nishkam, Nishkam Karma, Karma. Okay? So Nishkam Karma, where you are doing the actions, but you are completely free from the fruits of the action, right? And this is where yoga comes in. This is the kind of, you just keep doing whatever is coming your way. You never consider it to be too high for you to do or too below you for you to do that thing, right? Karma yoga in itself means no matter what comes on along my way, If I am meant to do it, right, if it is coming along my way, means I'm meant to do it. And if I'm meant to do it, then I will do it gracefully, right? I could have cried. I could have said, I don't want to do that thing, right? It happens so many times with us, right? Or I could just willingly accept that this is what I'm supposed to do right now. Let me do it. It is my responsibility. And not only that, for the karma yogi, this, you know, feeling of doing the work is so deep that they look at each and every work like it's a way of praying to God, right? When you show up on the mat, you know, if you if you just pause for a moment and you think, okay, like you are doing sun salutation, you just pause for a moment and you know, this is my way of praying to whatever I believe in. It could be yourself, it could be some teacher, it could be some god. I'm not here to decide that for you, but just when you do that thing, before that, if you just have this thought that the way in which I'm conducting myself, it's a way of praying, it's an offering for the karma yogi. The action that they do, it's an offering to God, right? Just when you take that pause before your practice, it entirely changes the way in which you move, the way in which you proceed with your practice, because it is actually a prayer for you, right? And in the beginning of these sessions I gave a definition of yoga, right? And that was yoga karma su kaushala, right? So perfection in action, right? Perfection is completely possible, right? And this has been said by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita itself. And he gave qualities of perfection, and I've discussed those before, but I will mention them very shortly, right? In a very concise manner. Full dedication should be there, full concentration should be there. One thing at a time, you do one task at one time, right? You do it with dedication, right? And you also, relax your mind when you are doing it. So I mentioned before also that detachment from the result, it induces a sense of relaxation. Like when you're doing something for someone else, right? Maybe they are stressed about their interview or they are stressed about their result, but you are doing something there for them, right? So you're not taking that stress like it is yours, right? So don't take the stress or the burden of things which are not for you to take. The seed that I will plant, it will give that fruit only, right? Suppose I plant a seed of neem tree. So neem is very कड़वा जिसको कहते हैं. I don't know the correct word for that taste. It's very it's not bitter, it's not sour. I look for the correct word, right? Or you can take the example of lemon, right? I am putting in the seeds in the soil of a lemon tree, right? And when I put in those seeds, those are your thoughts, right? I put those seeds inside the ground, right? I know this is the seed that I'm planting, right? And then when the fruit comes up, I get surprised. Why? Why am I getting something sour? Because you planted the seed of a lemon tree, right? You will get lemon. Lemon has a quality of being sour. You cannot expect, strawberries to grow out of that plant. If I give this example in this way, you will think the person who is waiting for the strawberry, they are foolish. Why? Because the seeds that have been planted are of a lemon tree, right? And what do we do in our lives, right? Plant lemon seeds, lemon seeds, lemon seeds, and then we want so many strawberries. We want to see beautiful pink colored strawberries, right? So we are just waiting for something which is never going to happen because we never, you know, took out the time to notice what we were doing when we were planting the seed. Right after the seed is sown, it will, if it gets the right kind of environment, it will grow out and give that kind of result. Right. So whatever action you are doing, See, when you are planting the seed, when the thought is coming up for that action, right? If you plant that thought, if that is the thought, the action will be similar, right? But if you're careful, if you are aware when you are putting the seeds inside the soil, right, then you can look for any kind of fruit, right? You just have to change the seed that you're planting. Once you understand this thing, right, you will get multifold impact, right? So if I plant a lemon seed, I will not just get one lemon from that tree, will I? I'll get so many lemons, right? So one thought that you have, it can have so much impact, right? So if you just change that quality, right, it will completely change the results and it will, bloom like anything, right? So in so many aspects, right? So karma yogi each and every time works on this. Another quality of karma is egolessness. So you will see some people, they keep doing the tasks, right, but they keep getting attached to that. Their ego keeps getting high because of that. Suppose you can think of uh, any person who has, studied any form of art or any subject deeply, right? So they have done the action, but look at them, right? Because they have so much knowledge, they will come to this belief that their ego will go up because of that action, right? So you have to keep the ego also in check, right? It's good that you know so much about a particular thing. It could be a particular subject, a particular industry. But if the ego is going up, then again, it's going to lead to a blast only, right? So the karma yogi, they will also keep the ego under check, and their action will constantly, bring them to a point where the ego will, not uh, at least exist in an unhealthy form. I'm not saying ego is a bad thing, right? But the unhealthy form that it takes, right? At least it will not exist in that way, right? So this is the concept of karma. And let's move and start the topic of pranayam, because we have the pranayam session also, right? So today we are going to discuss a very opposite pranayam. This is opposite only. So in previous few sessions we have been doing different heating pranayams, and one of them was Surya Bhedan pranayam, right? Surya Bhedan, or right nostril breathing, right? So today we are doing the exact opposite of Surya Bhedan, which is called Chandra Bhedan. CHANDRA. Chandra Bhedan. BHEDANA. Chandra Bhedan. Sorry. Okay, so the term Chandra, first you can write down the English name for this. English name is left nostril breathing. So Chandra, this term means moon, and at your class, I have already elaborated on this thing, that how the left nostril represents the moon kind of energy, very calming, very soothing. Your parasympathetic nervous system, when it gets activated, your left nostril, it becomes more dominant. And parasympathetic nervous system, it's associated with relaxation only generally, right? So when we are doing Chandra Bhedan Pranayam, we are actually going into moon-like energy. And if you remember, in yogic terms, we call this the Ida Nadi, IDE, Ida Nadi, NADI, Ida Nadi. Ida Nadi is the, again, left channel, right? And through the practice of Chandra Bhedan Pranayam, we are actually going to activate the left side, or this aspect of the uh, body. So left is also associated with the feminine energy. So if you feel sometimes, you need to have more patience, you need to, just get into that nurturing kind of energy. Nature is very patient with us, right? So even though COVID came in, nature has been very patient with us in that regard also. And even though we are destroying nature like anything these days, it has been very patient with us, because nature, it will never make a distinction, right? It will just uh, grow the things that come under its wing, right? So if you feel you lack that kind of an attitude, or sometimes you lack that kind of energy, then Chandra Bhedan is a very, very good practice for you. Okay. Now, when we do Chandra Bhedan is a cooling pranayama. Okay, so like Surya Bhedan, the body heat increases after the practice. When you do Chandra Bhedan, the body heat will decrease. Okay, so it's not advisable to do Chandra Bhedan in winter time, right? You can do a few rounds, but then uh, overall the body temperature will go down, which can, especially if you're living in extreme, conditions, extreme winters, right? So I would say completely avoid this practice. Okay. Bhedan, this term, it means to pierce, to awaken, to purify. So when we do Chandra Bhedan pranayam, somewhere the parasympathetic nervous system, it gets activated. The left nadi, which is ida nadi, it gets purified, right? So let me demonstrate the practice one time, then we will come to discuss the various precautions, contraindications, and benefits of the practice, right? And then we will practice ourselves and experience what is going on. So this practice is done like Surya Bhedan only, but opposite, exactly opposite, right? So with the right hand, again, you will form the mudra, whichever one you prefer. Exhale fully first, right? And then close the right nostril now. Begin to inhale through the left side. Once you take a full breath in, close the left nostril with the ring finger, open the right nostril with the thumb, and exhale. Take equal time to inhale and exhale. Now again, close the right nostril, open the left nostril, inhale. Close the left nostril and exhale. These are 2 rounds that I have demonstrated. Each and every time, inhalation will take place from left, exhalation will take place from right. One very important point for Surya Bhedan and Chandra Bhedan practice is that both of them should not be done on the same day, right? It's like two very opposite practices you are doing. If you do them on the same day, they will, it's like I'm having very hot temperature inside, and then as soon as I step outside, I don't turn off the heat over here. I immediately step outside, and once I do that, it's extremely cold over there, right? So what will happen? Immediate change, right? For the body, it's a shock, right? So Surya Bhedan and Chandra Bhedan are never practiced on the same day, even if you are doing Surya Bhedan in the morning and Chandra Bhedan in the evening. You should avoid this completely. You should do Surya Bhedan. That is why I said, once you start picking the practices according to season, there is no way in which they are going to clash, right? And you can do some medium kind of practices like Ujjayi is okay, right? Brahmari is okay for throughout the year, right? But such extreme practices you should only do in the suitable weather, right? So if you follow the weather thing, the seasonal thing, you will see that Surya Bhedan and Chandra Bhedan will never clash. Okay, so even though even if there is a mid time, so like springtime where the weather is neither hot neither too cold, right? Even in that time, if you are practicing Surya Bhedan in the morning, don't practice Chandra Bhedan in the evening. Practice it the next day, right? Give those 24 hours to your body, right? In order to, because these two are exact opposites of each other, right? Other practices are still changing the breath in a different way, but Surya Bhedan and Chandra Bhedan exact opposites, right? Both of them, they are exact opposites, so they should not be practiced in the same day. Okay, so let's look at some precautions. So precautions against season is one precaution. Second one is your uh, you shouldn't over practice Chandrabhedan. So for Surya Vedana, also I said this thing that over activation of one side, there is a lot of imbalance that is caused, right? So over activation of one side is not ideal, right? So for Surya Bhedan also, and then for Chandra Bhedan also, if you are going into overactivation, don't go for more than 10 to 15 rounds in one sitting, uh, because it will lead to again imbalance, and causing imbalance is not what we are doing over here. We are trying to derive the benefits of this breathing. Okay, so anywhere between 10 to 15 rounds are good enough for Chandra Bhedan practice. Uh, let's move to the contraindications. So when it comes to the contraindications, this is a cooling pranayama. So people who have low BP, chronic low BP, right? People who have, respiratory disorders like asthma, bronchitis, they should not go for this practice. People who have excessive mucus, right? So maybe you have cold and at that point of time there is a lot of mucus. So if you do this pranayama, it will lead to further solidification of that mucus in the body, right? So at that point of time, you should not go for this practice. Then also, if you are, having chronic constipation, then Chandrabhedan is not the practice for you, because Chandrabhedan has a very, very cooling and soothing kind of impact. So what happens is it is having that cooling kind of impact even in the lower abdominal region, right? So which is why people who have chronic constipation, they should never go for cooling practices, because already the system is lacking the heat to move the toxins out. So if you do cooling pranayams, again more jamming of the system it will take place, right? So let's come to the benefits of Chandrabhedan pranayam. Chandrabhedan has multiple benefits. So from the breathing to the heart rate, everything begins to slow down, it begins to settle down, right? So people who have hypertension, people who have uh, you know hypertension, who have issues like acidity, anxiety, right? So these kinds of issues, they get really solved by the practice of Chandrabhedan, because these require the cooling down of the body, right? Any pith related disorder, overall, you will see it has a very, very positive impact on pith related issues, right? Even the patients, heart patients and hypertension patients, they should not never be given the retention with this practice. Okay, so you have to avoid the retention completely. But apart from that, if you are going for the continuous practice, as I have demonstrated, it has a very, very positive, beneficial impact. Okay, uh, then your heart rate, breathing, it becomes much more better. Your parasympathetic nervous system, it gets activated, so you are very relaxed. Then emotionally, people who have anger issues, people who have, emotional outbursts, very much up and down in the emotions, Chandrabhedan is a great practice for them, right? And overall, the heat of the body, it goes down. So if you have pith personality, you struggle with that, Chandrabhedan can really help you in controlling or managing a pith in your body, right? Anxiety, stress, these kinds of issues, very, very good practice for those people, right? And even if you talk in spiritual terms, it's cleaning the left energy channel. So, of course, I told you this thing that three energy channels are the most important one for us: the left, the right, and central, right? So if the first we have to clean them, right? So it cleans the left nostril, so it has very beautiful and beneficial impacts on the left side. Again, if you are struggling with that feminine kind of energy in your life, you can go ahead, sit for a few minutes, practice Chandrabhedan, and see the benefits, right? If you have, anger issues or these kinds of outbursts are too much for you, Chandrabhedan will definitely help you to manage these things much, much better, right? So let's move to the practice itself. It's also a very good practice for people who suffer from insomnia, because in insomnia the mind is running too much. So Chandra breathing, because it has a very calming and soothing impact. Very good practice for patients of insomnia as well. Right. So let's begin with the practice. Right. So sit comfortably wherever you are. Keep your back and neck straight and gently close the eyes. Just start watching your breath. Watch each inhalation, each exhalation as it flows by. Now slowly shift your attention to your body. Just adjust and align yourself. Now come back to the breathing and begin to deepen your breath. A few deep breaths. We are going to begin with the practice of abdominal breathing. So keep your back and neck straight. Exhale fully and contract your abdomen. And now slowly begin to inhale. As you inhale, expand your abdomen. As you exhale, contract your abdomen. Try to keep the inhalations and exhalations equal and continue with this practice. Inhale abdomen out, exhale abdomen in. Try to deepen your practice as much as possible. After your next exhalation, fully suspend the practice. Keep the back and neck straight and just connect to the natural flow of your breath. Prepare yourself for the next practice. So with the right hand, form the preferable mudra. We will go for a few rounds of Anulom Vilom first. With the right hand, form the mudra which you prefer more. Exhale fully. Close the right nostril and begin to inhale through the right side. Close the left nostril. Exhale through the right side. And again, inhale through the right side. Close the right nostril, open the left nostril, exhale. Continue your practice like this. This was one round of Anulom Vilom. So continue taking a few more breaths like this, alternating between both the nostrils, always starting and closing with the left side. Feel the sense of balance and calmness as you increase the number of rounds of this practice. After completing your next round, which means once you exhale through the left nostril, you can suspend your practice, relax your hand, keep the back and neck straight, and simply observe the impact of Anulom Vilom on your breathing, on your mind, on your body. Prepare yourself for the practice of Chandra Vedam. So keep the back and neck straight. Again, form the preferable mudra with the right hand. Exhale fully first. Keep the mouth closed. Exhale through both the nostrils first. Close the right nostril. Begin to inhale through the left side. Close the left side. Open the right side. Exhale. This is one round. Continue your practice. Go for only 10 to 15 rounds. After you finish the 10 to 15 rounds, just keep your back and neck straight, eyes are still gently closed, and see how it was different from your previous practice. Check the state of your mind as we are about to close today's session. Keep the back and neck straight, eyes are gently closed. We are going to chant Om one time, followed by 3 shantis. Take a deep breath in for Om. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Feel the vibrations, feel the sensations. Turn your palms together and begin to rub the palms. Keep them on the eyes. Allow your eyes to absorb this heat. We will do this 2 more times. Rub the palms. Keep them on the eyes. Last time, rub the palms. Keep them on the eyes. Very slowly while blinking and looking at the palms. Open up your eyes. Guys, enjoy your weekend. I will see you on Monday. Keep practicing. Take care and bye-bye.